Hello everyone, happy day. Dr. Amy here with the Free Range Mama Project. Welcome back. So glad you guys are here. We've got an awesome video planned for you today. We're going to talk about backpack safety tips, and we are also going to talk about the importance of posture for our kiddos and avoiding text neck, which is that right there. So I want to start with backpack safety. This is a big deal. This is my chiropractic heart pouring out to all the kiddos out there. I don't know if this is you. It was for sure me in school, where we would wear the backpacks, you know, on one arm, or you'd wear them where they were pulled all the way back, so it was like pretty much touching the ground, all the cool backpack styles. But now, as a chiropractor, taking care of a ton of children, watching how damaging it can be to their spine, I've got a couple tips that I hope you encourage your children with. If not, put them in front of this video and have me be the bad guy. So I've got 6 tips for you when we're looking at backpack safety, and then we'll talk about how to avoid text neck and the importance of their cervical curve, which is the curve in their neck. So let's start with backpack safety. My very first tip, so tip number 1, is to not have the backpack weigh more than 5 to 10% of your child's body weight. Tip number 1. Tip number 2 is when they're wearing the backpack, you want to make sure that the heavier items, so the books, the binders, the laptops, you want to make sure that they are in the compartment closest to the spine. So ideally, an ideal backpack would have multiple compartments. You want to section out where the heavier items are closer to the spine, and they get lighter as they go down into the compartments. And the reason being is because you don't want the heavy items all the way towards, away from the body where your child's doing that. So that's tip number 2, pack the heavier items closer to the spine. Tip number 3 is making sure that you are keeping the weight-wise, when we talk about not more than 5 to 10% of your child's body weight, you want to make sure that the backpack does not hang down more than 4 inches below the waistline. So a good rule of thumb when it comes to posture is the ears should line up with the shoulders. Let me show you this. So ears should line up with the shoulders should line up with the hip bones, which I'm pointing to my hip bones, and then the hips should line up with your lateral malleolus, which is the outside part of your ankle bone that sticks out. So that's what proper posture should look like. So again, when your child is wearing a backpack, you want to make sure that it is not tipping back or hanging down 4 inches, no more than 4 inches below the waistline. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is ideally the backpack should have wider padded straps. They want to wear both straps, not this sort of thing, but both straps, that they evenly distribute their weight. The reason that the wider straps are important because the narrow ones can restrict blood flow here. So it's super important that they have the wide straps and that they're on both sides. If your child does one of the roller backpacks, ideally they switch from right to left so that they're not causing a compensation pattern with just one side. So that's tip number 4. Tip number 5 is if your child is in a situation school-wise where they have to carry all of their heavy stuff, all of their books, all of their binders, and they don't have the option to use, say, a locker, I recommend distributing the weight by holding a couple of the heavier items like this, as opposed to putting all 45 pounds in the backpack, which, yes, I see those backpacks that heavy all the time. Insane. Instead of putting all of those items, maybe carry a couple binders or a couple books in their arms, so that instead of doing this, they're doing this. So they've got weight here, and then they've got weight here with their arms crossed over their load in their arms. So that is tip number 5. My final tip is everyone's favorite. If you have the option to, with the thick straps, if you have the option to clasp or secure, some backpacks will have a clip here to close. I would highly recommend using that. Some of them have them around the chest here. It's essentially like a chest strap to make sure that you are evenly distributing your weight here and that you're not causing an issue in your shoulders. So those are my 6 tips. Let's talk about text neck and posture. Now, fun fact for you, the curve in the neck, the cervical curve in the neck, it develops, and I say ideally, but it develops when children are doing tummy time. So think of your little babe when they're doing tummy time at 0 to 3 months before they start rolling over and running away. When they do tummy time and they do this motion on their belly, that is how their cervical curve develops. The other way that it continues to enhance and develop in a healthy manner is when they crawl, because again, they're on their belly and they're pushing themselves up. So if your child skipped both of those milestones, meaning they did not crawl or they did not do tummy time, there's a good chance that their cervical curve did not properly develop. It is super, super important that we have this cervical curve, or what we call a lordosis, in our spine or in our neck. And that lordosis, if we lose that, it can cause things like headaches and affect our sleep. It can affect energy and focus and concentration. It can even restrict breathing, and can leave the spine more susceptible to injury. So super important that we maintain this curve. I will tell you, I've been in practice for 8 years, and I see kids nowadays with worse spines than their parents. And the reason being is because of this. You can't see me, but I'm pretending to text here. So this text neck is, I would say, I'm gonna call it an epidemic. It's a big problem with what I'm seeing in kids. So a couple ways to avoid that is kids that are on phones, you wanna bring them to eye level. So anyone that's in my office, any of my kids, if I see them doing this, I always come and lift their arms up and do one of those. They always give me a look, not a happy look, but it's important to do it and to get in that rhythm of back up, like I said, chin with shoulders, and then looking at your phone this way. If your arms get sore or tired, the kiddo can also go on their belly. This is for adults as well. You can go on your belly, where you're on your belly and your arms could be underneath a pillow, and then you're looking at your phone that way. So again, we want to avoid this thing, because this is literally taking the cervical curve and reversing it in the opposite direction. So that's tip number one. If they're reading books, same idea. We don't want to read books down here, up here. If they need their arms to have a break, or you're doing homeschool, I would highly recommend getting one of those book stands so that it's something that they can just keep at eye level. The biggest thing here is keeping it at eye level. If you're on a computer, if your kiddo's on a computer doing school from home, I would highly recommend, again, a computer that's eye level, and then ideally bringing it slightly closer to them so they're avoiding this right here. As the day goes on, it's easy to just kind of mold right into computer world. So again, ears with shoulders, shoulders back. A couple other things that you can have your kiddos do, and I would highly recommend if you are someone working from home or your child is doing school from home, I would highly recommend doing this a couple times a day, maybe every couple hours, every hour if you can, doing a couple stretches. So the first one would be to bring chest up. So just think of just kind of rolling your shoulders back. So shoulders back, chest up, and then arms back and look up. You can hold that for 1 to 2 seconds, and that really just helps bring the posture back and bring it opposite in the direction that we're going in when we're on computers and looking at our phones. So that's the first one, shoulders back, chest up, arms back and look up. Hold for 1 to 2 seconds. That's stretch number one. The second one is you can take your hands behind your head like this, pull up, and bring your arms back to stretch again to bring back that curve. That's number two. And then the third one is everyone's favorite, giving yourself a double chin. So you want to do essentially an isometric resistance. You're going to push your forehead back. And yes, the goal is to give yourself one of these lovely double chins. So what this does is it helps fire off the muscles here. You don't need to put a lot of force, but it's just telling your spine to go back that way. So that's what I have for you today. I hope it was helpful. My goal is to serve you in your journey of motherhood, to take care of the healthy babies, to help raise healthy babies, and to give you all the tips and tools to do that. So I hope this was helpful. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified when we drop new content. So bless you guys, love you guys. Hope you're having an amazing start to your school year. I'll see you soon. Bye.